have always considered myself to be strong. Now, that is not a brag. It's the most honest description I have of how I have moved through my entire life, including my divorce. I held things together. I kept going. I managed what needed managing, and I did not stop. And for a long time, I believed that was God working through me. But what he showed me is that some of it was him. And some of it, the part I was most proud of, was just me, quietly refusing to need him. And I had no idea I was doing it. Hi, welcome to Beyond Believing. I am Katie Ann. Today, I want to talk to the woman who is tired, not the woman who has given up. She is not tired. She is numb. I mean the woman who is still going, still showing up, still holding everything together, and quietly wondering why it feels like she is doing it completely alone. She is not doing it alone, but she may be doing it in a way that makes it feel like she is. Let's go. Now, I want to tell you what this strength looks like, because from the outside, it is almost indistinguishable from faith. It gets up early. It handles the hard things before anyone else is awake. It does not ask for help because asking feels like weakness. And she has already decided she cannot afford to be weak or depend on anyone. It keeps the children stable, the business running, the calendar managed, and the emotions very perfectly contained. It is capable and consistent, and underneath all of it, completely, quietly exhausted. And she would never say that out loud, because saying it out loud feels like complaining, and she does not complain. That is part of the strength. Now let me speak to the other woman in the room, the one who would say she is not strong at all. She is barely holding on. She has been running on empty for so long, she cannot remember what full felt like. She does not feel strong. She feels like she's failing every single day. I want you to hear this because this matters. She is running the same pattern, just further along in it. The woman who is exhausted by her own strength and the woman who is collapsing under the weight of trying to generate it are not two different women. They are the same woman at different points in the same cycle. And here is the question God asked me when I was deep in the strong version of it. In Proverbs 14:1, it says, "The wise woman builds her house, but the foolish woman tears it down with her own hands." I read that verse and applied it to my marriage, to the things I had contributed to that I had not fully seen before it ended. That application was real and it mattered, and it was very healing for me. But God showed me a second layer of it that I had missed entirely. Her own hands. The foolish woman is not passive. She is not sitting still watching things fall apart. She is actively building, working, managing, holding, sustaining with her own hands. And the thing she is building with her own hands is the exact thing that is eventually going to come apart. Yeah, that realization literally took my breath away. If it isn't already obvious, God humbles me a lot. Things don't fall apart by her own hands because she is lazy, not because she doesn't care, but because she is building with the wrong material, for the wrong reasons, with the wrong intentions. And the material she is using is, and her reasons for doing so are her own strength generated by her, sustained by her, dependent on her ability to keep producing it alone. I say this because I was that woman. After my divorce, I built an entire life on my own competence. I was capable. I was faithful. I was genuinely growing, and I was doing almost all of it in my own strength while calling it trust. And I talk to women every single day doing the exact same thing. There is a verse I quoted for years as motivation to keep me going in this strength. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Philippians 4:13. Isn't that just what you need to remind you to keep going? I sure thought so. I quoted it before hard conversations, before difficult days, before things I did not want to do but had to. I used it the way most of us do, as fuel, as permission, as a promise that God would give me the strength to do whatever I had already decided needed to be done. And that is where I had it wrong. I was using it to fuel my decisions and my ambitions, believing God was going to bless me with the ability to get it all done. I want to read you a translation of this verse, one that Derek Prince shared, because it changed the way I understood not just this verse, but my entire relationship with my own strength. He phrases it this way: I can do all things through the one who empowers me from within. Read that last phrase again with me. The one who empowers me from within. Not in my own power, not in my ability to hold things together or keep producing or manage what needs managing, but from His. That's in me. And here is what that means and what it meant for me specifically. The strength Paul is describing is not a blank check. It is not God agreeing to fuel whatever agenda I bring to Him. Paul is writing from prison. He has nothing. He is completely dependent. And what he has discovered, what he calls the secret in the verses just before this one, is that the strength available to him is not his to generate. It flows through him from Christ toward what Christ has called him to do. Not what Paul decided needed doing, what Christ called him to. That distinction is everything, because the strength I had been generating after my divorce, the strength that got me up early and kept the calendar managed and held everything together, a significant portion of it was for my agenda, my version of what needed to happen, my idea of what a good mother, a good Christian woman, a healed person looked like. And God was not obligated to sustain that because it was not His agenda. It was mine, dressed in the language of faith. Here is what He showed me. When that strength I am operating in is mine, I run out. I exhaust. I collapse eventually or harden or go numb. That is not a character flaw. That is just the nature of a finite source trying to do an infinite job. But when the strength flowing through me is His, toward what He has actually called me to, it does not run out. Not because life gets easier, but because I am drawing from a different well. John 4:14, where Christ teaches the Samaritan woman, reminds us that whoever drinks of the water I will give him will never be thirsty again. This is the different well you draw from. That is not weakness. That is the most powerful position a woman can stand in, knowing that what she needs is not dependent on what she can generate, but on what He has already supplied. I want to tell you what I mean when I say put it down, because I know that phrase can feel abstract or irresponsible or like something only women without 5 children and a business and a co-parenting situation can afford to do. Putting it down does not mean stopping. It does not mean the calendar disappears or the children stop needing things or the hard conversations stop happening. It means this: before you pick up the next thing, you ask. Not as a formality, not as a quick prayer before you do what you were already going to do, but you genuinely ask, God, is this what you are calling me to do right now? Show me what you want me to focus on. It means releasing the outcome of the things you cannot control. And I know that list feels very long after divorce. Without releasing your engagement with what is actually in front of you. It means letting the exhaustion be information instead of evidence of failure. When you are running dry, that is not a sign that you are not strong enough. It is a sign that you have been drawing from the wrong well, and it is time to go back to the right one. And here's the thing I want to say to the woman who is afraid that if she puts it down, it will all fall apart. because some of it probably will. And what falls was never yours to hold in the first place. What God has called you to, what He has specifically, purposefully, intentionally placed in your hands, He will not give you. He will give you the strength for, not because you generated enough of it or because you earned it, but because He infuses it into you as you go. That is what through the one who empowers me within means. Not a deposit you draw from until it runs out. A continuous infusion. Present tense, as needed for what He has called you to. You do not have to produce what He has already promised to provide. I want you to sit with that. You are not weak because you are tired. You are tired because you have been carrying something that was never meant to be carried alone, and doing it in a strength that was never meant to be self-generated. The strength God has for you is not a reward for holding it together long enough. It is not available only to the woman who has healed enough or performed enough or gotten far enough past the divorce. It is available to you right now in this exact season, in the middle of the hard co-parenting and the uncertain finances and the children who need more than one person can give, and the future that is still not clear. He infuses it into you as you go for what He has called you to. You are self-sufficient in Christ's sufficiency, not in your own, not in your ability to keep generating it, in His. So put it down, not because it doesn't matter, but because He has it, and He has always had it. This is the work that I do in my coaching, not to be the answer, but to point you to the one who is, to remind you that you have access to everything you truly desire and to help you begin living like it today. If that conversation is one you are ready to have, you can apply for coaching at coachkatieann.com/call. The link is in the show notes. And next week, I want to keep building on what we talked about today, because once I understood that my strength was supposed to flow from Him and not from me, God showed me something about what I had actually been building all along. What was mine to tend and what was His to build. And the difference between those two things changed everything about how I spent my time, my energy, and my days. I think it is going to land for you. Subscribe so you don't miss it. I'll see you then.